Today we're diving into a scene from my upcoming animated short film. This scene may look okay at first glance, but it's missing that special something. The magic we need is physics and deformation for his hand. We're going to make it happen so that when the cup lands, his hand reacts in a fun and squishy manner. The main character in my film actually has this squish and stretch effect all over his body, a quirky superpower he developed after breaking all of his bones in a skateboarding crash. Think of him like Miss Incredible, but a painful version. Actually, before we get started with the hand deformation fun, let me quickly walk you through how I achieved the cup bounce and physics effect you just saw. For the scenes leading up to this drop, like when the cup tumbles across the table after the boy's head bumps into it, Blender's rigid body physics worked perfectly. However, for this specific drop, Blender's physics simulation wasn't giving me the control and look I wanted. Now, when I hit simulation roadblocks in Blender, I often turn to Houdini. I find it incredibly precise and enjoyable for simulations, especially when you need fine-tuned control. But for everything else in my animation workflow, I am all Blender. Setting up the cup drop simulation in Houdini was actually quite straightforward using a few nodes and some bounce tweaking. By the way, I just set up Patreon and I have uploaded this Houdini file and the cup so you can mess around with it. It's all for free, you don't need to subscribe or anything, but you can do if you want to. Yeah, grab it if you're interested. Houdini has a free student version, so check it out if you want to experiment with simulations. I highly recommend it, it's fun. Well, actually that's a lie. When I first opened it up, I was going to puke. But with some experimenting and following some tutorials, it ended up being so fun to use and I love it. Well, there we are, a cup falling. Revolutionary, right? Okay, let's get back to the hand and squish effect. Since I'm not a traditional artist, I rely heavily on references. I went searching for some inspiration. Luckily, I remembered a fantastic tutorial by Aaron Blaze demonstrating exactly the kind of squish and stretch I was looking for. He uses a pillow in the tutorial, but the principle is exactly what we need for the hand reacting to the cup's impact.
And then boom, look at that squash.
Alright, I got my reference. Now for the exciting, slightly intimidating part, which is creating it. I realized that treating the hand like cloth would be the way to go, similar to how the pillow deforms. While Blender does have the cloth simulations, I struggled to get the specific hand deformation I was looking for. So you guessed it, I went back to Houdini. So this is my setup in Houdini. I imported the Blender animation as an Alembic file, then deleted everything except the boy's arms. Poor kid. I don't need the rest of him simulated, it will use up too much computing power. Then I painted the parts of the mesh I wanted to have the squish effect the most, i.e. the arm where the cup lands. Then I added a vellum cloth with stretch set to 100 and bend to 0.16 stiffness. The vellum strut node was set to 20 stiffness. And finally, on the vellum solver, I set it to a 0.01 stiffness. The cup was used as a collision object. I don't do tutorials, so if you want the Houdini file, I'll put it up on my Patreon. Here's the simulation. Now I just need to export this as an Alembic file and import it into Blender. Now I'm going to put it all together in a Blender. So let's render this and here's my final scene. And there you have it, a cup drop scene with physics that might bend reality a little, but it looks pretty cool, I think. This is just a glimpse into my journey while making this film. Each week I'm making progress towards the release, and I'm creating these videos as a production log or behind the scenes look into the process. Yeah, I'm excited to share my discoveries and lessons learned with you all. I guess thanks for watching and peace out.